IVM.
Hello everyone, welcome to Tech Careers in the New podcast series presented by Accenture. I'm your host Shiladitya Mukhopadhyaya. In this podcast series, we'll get you the latest and greatest in the world of technology that's shaping the future of business as we know it. We're talking intelligent platforms, cloud, AI, blockchain, extended reality, and a whole lot more. Every fortnight on Wednesdays, we'll have for you a hot topic with expert speakers from Accenture talking about top trends in the space, how these are changing the world and creating growth across industries. And more importantly, we'll tell you how you can learn more, build your skills and expertise to grow and stay relevant in your career. So this week on the show, we're discussing SAP. Now, before we get into the conversation, what exactly is SAP? SAP actually stands for Systems, Applications and Products in Data Processing. Now, the acronym today is actually widely known in the business world, but this company actually started out with something which was a whole different thing way back when. The system of SAP consists of a number of fully integrated modules which cover almost every aspect of business management. Today we'll be discussing the power of SAP and of course the Accenture collaboration, how Accenture became the first partner to effectively work end-to-end on SAP and collaborating with them at an unprecedented level, from development through delivery, to fully unlock the potential of what SAP provides and a lot more. To explain this, of course, we have our experts from the field of SAP, Varsha Shrikhande, the Managing Director at the Advanced Technology Centers, and Kamal Bablani, Managing Director, SAP Practice Lead at Accenture. Okay, welcome to the show and thank you so much for being here. Kamal, Varsha, how's it going?
Great.
Pleasure is all ours.
Thank you so much for taking the time. Thank you, Kamal, for making the trip to Bombay for this recording. We've been doing all our shows at right underneath your office in the building. But for this, I'm glad that you could come over to our side of the
It's a good change as well. Going around in Mumbai streets, that's really a different experience from coming from Bangalore.
Less traffic, more traffic. The same, I think.
No, not the same actually, because yesterday night the traffic was very low. So I remember reaching my hotel in 15 minutes.
Wow.
And in the morning as well, from hotel to our office in Vikhroli. It took me, half an hour, 35 minutes? But yeah, when we were coming to the studio, that was a bit of a nightmare. But coming from Bangalore, I would actually, it's fine. It's
Great. Okay. Great to hear that. But thank you so much for making the trip. And of course, if you could maybe, for our listeners, give us a little introduction of yourself, the role you have here at Accenture. And, I would request both of you to do the same.
So, I lead the SAP practice for ADCI, which is the Advanced Technology Centers, and I'm based out of Bangalore. I also look after India business. So I'm the SAP Practice Lead for IDB, which is the India Business Domestic. I joined Accenture around a year back, a year plus few months. And prior to that, I was in the UK. In 98, 99, coming from domain company, I was a logistics expert, so marketing and procurement. And that's when my boss decided that I need to shift into SAP. At that time, it was called SAP. No one used to call it SAP. And he suggested that I be the conduit between the implementation partners and the business. And I delivered the project. I was part of the team which delivered the project, and since then I've not looked back. I moved to UK in 98, 99, did a lot of program management, delivery, practice work, sales, pre-sales, and finally back in India a year and few months back. So good to be here.
Great. I do want to hear more about that. Varsha, what about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So in my current role, I have been working with Kamal. And as we understand, SAP as a practice in Accenture, we have different areas. I'm responsible for a couple of products, like S4HANA is one of them, SAP Data is yet another. And in terms of the way we serve our clients, there are a number of process areas. So I'm responsible for finance, supply chain, as well as sourcing and procurement. So that's in my current role. I basically belong to finance fraternity as a professionally qualified accountant. And last 3 decades, I have been earning my livelihood from that area. And my shift to ERP was some couple of decades ago, right? So last 2 decades, I have been in SAP as an ERP package. But before that, when I was working in Mahindra and Mahindra way back in 90s, those were like early days of ERPs in India also. Not very many companies had gone in for ERP implementations. And I was part of ERP select exercise then for Mahindra and Mahindra, specifically in finance area. So I bring a lot of finance domain expertise and knowledge, and that was my role then. And ever since then, of course, that was not SAP then. It was a different package called AS400 based Mapix. Okay, but ever since then, I have not looked back in terms of other world of finance. It is just the ERP world, and I have been having these experiences in transformation of client business on finance side or supply chain side or sourcing procurement side.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. In fact, that's a good, understanding for me to actually jump into asking the next question, which is more about what has the story for ERP and SAP specifically been. Of course, I think with Accenture also the practice has been around for a long time. So could you give us a little background on that? What the platform is, the actual work done in Accenture, the kind of various programs that you have, and of course the next wave of this journey.
Okay, so let's talk about the history of SAP. The company started way back in early 70s, when mainframe was ruling the roost. And supposedly that time, way back in 70s, SAP claimed that they had this real-time system. Now you may laugh about it today, but then way back it was really an innovative idea and an innovative software package as well. And they actually launched the product for a chemical manufacturing company looking after their planning process. And over years, they moved to logistics, then they moved to finance as well. And in 80s, they launched something called R2, which is the release 2 version. So they came out with more modules and had the 2-tier architecture.
Yeah.
But I think that the change in SAP history happened when R3 was released.
Yeah.
Early 90s, I would say, late 80s, they came up with 3-tier architecture. They brought the software package to the desktops. Rather than mainframes, they brought the power of computing on the desktops. Yeah. I think that was the significant change which SAP brought in terms of R3. And that was way back in early 90s. 2000, era of internet, as you know.
Right.
How do we use the power? How do we take the SAP to web?
Yeah. And
also, I think during the process, they also launched NetWeaver, which was all about connecting SAP with non-SAP world. And then the latest edition being S4HANA, which is in-memory computing, which is perhaps the fastest database and very, very effective. And I think that's perhaps...
And I also think that's very dramatic and intense in terms of not that in-memory computing database was SAP's brainchild alone. It was Oracle was the one who brought it first, actually speaking. However, these guys, SAP was very adventurous in terms of leveraging that database not only for analytical kind of a stuff or applications, but dropping the entire ERP platform. So that's what the S4HANA is all about. Dropping the entire ERP platform on that database, in-memory computing database, which is so fast, which is like factor of 1,000 times, etc. Yeah. And because of that, a lot of innovative use cases emerged out of that. What do you think, Kamal? I think
Agreed. I think this decade has all been about HANA speed and also cloud computing.
Yes.
SAP has recently, in this decade particularly, bought a lot of companies. If I talk about Calidus, Qualtrics, then you have SuccessFactors, Ariba. All these are cloud solutions. So clearly they've taken the platform to the next level. How do they leverage cloud and on-prem solutions. So it's done
it's been a massive evolution of the platform.
And I think so. And Kamal, I also think that last 5 years, whatever SAP brought to the table was more intense, more dramatic in terms of, as you said, cloud. And they knew that they are not a company which is like, born on internet. They are not Amazons of the world or Googles of the world. They knew that, and that's why they started acquiring on one hand. They also started forging alliances.
Yeah.
So they are not the, data company in that sense, or they are not the cloud company. They don't own any data storage, etc. So they partnered with Amazon, Google, for that matter, IBM for private cloud. So they forged those alliances to strengthen those capabilities as well on one hand. The database, that's HANA, that's given. User experience and customer experience. Again, very dramatic improvement there. That's very impressive because now they are able to address not only all sort of business processes, but also all sort of industries. They have 25, of course, industry was always their sweet spot, and they have been having these solutions last 5 decades. They have been nurturing these industry solutions like oil, upstream, downstream, retail, CPG, you name it, they have it.
Correct.
That was always the sweet spot. But on the technology side, the cloud and latest things like blockchain, AI, email, and not only that, people just talk about quantum. These guys, SAP is already on to quantum as well. So that's massive, right?
Wow. Yeah, that's been a huge evolution in a very short time, I would say, again. And maybe a lot of the rest of the world has contributed to this, as you said. It's just the time we are in where software is evolving so fast. What would you say is the primary sort of role which a team like your teams here at Accenture or the the overall practice plays? Because again, the SAP as a company, as a platform is so diverse. What are the kind of projects that you could tell us about in terms of what the practice actually entails here?
Since SAP, or whilst SAP was evolving, so were the organizations.
Right.
Okay, the maturity level of organizations was going higher as well. If you see, the metabolism of the organization has also increased multifold. The metabolism of businesses, if I may say. They are more thinking about how the organization are going to be more agile, more intelligent, more integrated.
Right.
Okay, and that's where we come in. We probably engage with customer, draw up their roadmaps about IT. What is the maturity level of business processes? Where are their IT systems? The entire analysis, be it their business footprint, functional footprint, technical footprint, we study them. We analyze them. We get intimate about their business processes. And then we suggest, okay, this is going to be the roadmap. Perhaps this would be the best roadmap for you. And we not only leave it there, we draw up the business case, we draw up the benefits, and then realize it. And then run that. Perhaps in some of the cases, we run their processes as well. So that's the entire, I would say, the portfolio of work which we do as Accenture, SAP Practice.
One very important thing is how we partner with SAP and how we bring that partnership as a value add proposition for our clients is also very interesting. It's very exclusive also. So there are a number of SI vendors, right, who are working with SAP directly. And we have that prime slot, if I say so. Prime slot in terms of partnering, we call it Formula 1 or F1 as a partnership, and that is a multifold kind of a partnership. It is not only just about developing the core product, but it is also about developing industry-based solutions, and those are essentially cloud-based. Right now we are involved in upstream oil solution, bringing all the experience of 3 decades of Accenture, because Accenture is very known in terms of the richness of the business processes on the oil side, and so is also the case with retail and FMCG. So we are bringing it all together, and that is getting converged with SAP's technology knowledge, and then we are developing them to sort of come up with these new solutions, innovative solutions, and precisely for certain kind of industries, name industries. That's our partnership there. It's also interesting. Every year they release major product for S4HANA, just to name a product there. And every week there are APIs for connecting the ecosystem, etc. So the beta testing has to happen, right? So we are partnering with
Even
them
there.
in that area also. So in terms of how good the product is, are there any bugs, or they roll in our suggestions in terms of, okay, what kind of improvement is required there. So that is second kind of a thing. Third is we call it value partnership in terms of actual implementation also. There are certain types of implementation we walk with them, right? We sort of, on the field we are together. So, and we all bring that, this is to the advantage of our final clients also. So that is what we bring for the clients, right?
Of course. In fact, being such a top tier partner means if I could say that there's a lot of co-creation happening.
So if you see, we have a 360-degree relationship with SAP. We are their customer.
Yep.
Yeah.
We are the partner, implementation partner. We are the vendor as well, because we help them build the core S4.
Yep.
And we are also doing innovation with them. So it completes the circle. All four aspects are covered in the relationship which we have with SAP.
Wow. This must have, in all this time, this must have actually yielded in some very interesting customer implementations. Could you share some examples, maybe of case studies from the field, of what exactly you could achieve for your customers together?
Okay, let me talk to you about a recent win. Well, not so recent. We actually had a kickoff only yesterday. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is one of the India's FMCG major. And we started having a discussion with them exactly a year back, sometime August, September last year. And they were SAP customers, but the older version of SAP. And they still had non-SAP systems. And they were struggling to optimize their usage of SAP. So they were struggling to even measure their KPIs, the business KPIs. That was not in place. So what we did, we went to them, we drew up their IT strategy first. Okay, let's first of all get intimate with you. Let's understand what processes are you running, what you are not running on SAP. So we did that measure and came up with the strategy. And then we identified the business KPIs perhaps, or I would put other way around, the benefits which they will get provided they implement SAP. So the focus was more around automation, more around innovation, and also standardizing the entire footprint. In fact, as I mentioned yesterday, we had a kickoff. We are starting the project there. Clear example of how we work with customers and what sort of practice we bring forward to help customers take the transformation journey.
Wow.
Right, and indeed, Shiladitya, it is very exciting to work with a company which is like very Indian global, you can say, but it is like 100-year-old company.
Right.
But how do we usher them into these new practices and technically very advanced stuff like RPA and AI and ML based and KPI based? How do they, step into this new world? It is very exciting. I'll share a couple of examples, and it's again very recent. 2nd October, I know the date because that was holiday as well. So I received that email. One of the largest cosmetic retailers and manufacturing company in Japan, and the CFO writes. Okay, so CFO writes about. So it was a big win. And CFO writes about why they decided to award the contract to Accenture, and he called out the differentiator. It is not Accenture which is talking about those differentiators. So he says that, okay, the ability to drive global implementation is exceptional. Okay, so of course he is comparing with our counterparts, etc. Then we have something called My Concerto. That's a platform that's asset based and digital end-to-end delivery, as well as the real platform for driving our implementations also. Okay. So that is the second differentiator that he called. Of course, talent, and we really are very proud about our talent and talent transformation to the new. When we are talking about SAP in the new and clients also into the new, right, we have to think about talent transformation. So that is also a big differentiator he calls out. And this is about just one type of retailer. So till now, in last so many years, we have served at least 20 retailers, right? And in the new, when I talk about SAP in the new, in last 5 years alone, about 11 or 12 large retail clients we have served with the new SAP technology. But then there are nuances. What we bring to the table, those nuances we capture and harvest from every sort of client. So there are some retailers which are like grocers, okay, grocery retail.
Right.
Some are in cosmetics, some are in jewelry, some are like very large companies and multi-country retail outlets. They are they're everywhere, Fortune 100. All of these, by the way, are Fortune 100 companies. But the thing is, we can harvest from all of them and then develop not only based on maybe the next practices for retailer about anything. I mean, if I talk about finance, the retail finance or the brand level profitability and stuff like that, we all bring that together. And that is how we help them transform their businesses and come up with the next set of business models. That's
like the best practices for the next implementations
Right.
that
Yes.
you will.
Yes.
See, as I mentioned, the customers have been matured over a period of time. They don't only look for price or probably your experience in delivering. They also look for whether you are bringing innovation.
Mm-hmm.
They are also looking after how you take care of your employees, how you're nurturing talent, how do you sustain them? Because at the end of the day, it's all about talent nurturing.
Right.
And people deliver these programs, these transformation journeys. So that's what it takes a lot, and customer understands that, and that's what we are working towards. How to make that experience, how to bring that experience, how do we make their entire journey less painful.
Right.
It's going to be painful for sure, because there are ups and downs in driving that transformation program, but less painful is the key word.
Wow. So, in fact, to take off from that, you mentioned that people are such an important part of this whole implementation, and projects like the ones you and your team are doing are oftentimes long drawn, very nuanced. There's a lot of domain knowledge maybe which you over the years you bring to the table, and you have best practices which have evolved. What kind of team do you have today, and what kind of team do you look forward to having more of to sort of best tackle these sort of current projects, not just now, but also looking ahead? Like there will be more releases, there'll be a future product as well. So could you tell us a little bit about what's coming up and what kind of people you're looking to have on your side?
I think I'm very passionate about this whole team building as well as talent building and skill building. And really what kind of attributes we look forward to form these teams. It's not just about now technical skills. Mm-hmm. Honestly speaking, I'll loosely describe them people who are very enthusiastic and passionate about technology and learning continuously. Because as Kamal was explaining, the businesses are evolving, and in fact there are revolutions on certain aspects also. It's not just slow evolution. Mm-hmm. And SAP as a technology also has been changing drastically, right? It is again. So you have to keep pace, not only keep pace, but, be the front runner in terms of knowing how to configure things, how to solution things, how to bring that value, how to be imaginative, how that white canvas is there, and how to color it with the palette of colors. So you need that energy, that passion. So these are the things that I look at my team members. But then I'll take a couple of examples. For example, so in SAP, as I say that it is all about business processes and process level transformation. Talking about finance as an example. So, of course, you need finance experts, but we don't really, in Accenture, we really don't worry about having technical knowledge of SAP finance as such. Mm-hmm. We go to institutes like chartered accountants or cost accountants, which are like established institutes over here in India, right? Last more than 60 years. And they know nothing about ERP, let alone SAP. They know nothing about ERP, right? So we assure them in the world of ERP and technology, and then we mentor them. Of course, it's very institutionalized program. Last 10 years I have been doing it, so it's very institutionalized. And then they know about, because their finance domain knowledge that they have been learning for 5 years, 7 years is more important rather than just the technology part of it. That's what we believe in, right? What is really changing in finance, okay? And these things are more important globally also.
The fundamentals,
exactly, international finance reporting and all of those things are more important. So we mentor these people into ERP, then SAP, then business processes, then they start working with clients and then they bring value. So that's one aspect, okay? People from not knowing SAP at all to SAP, that kind of journey, career journey, or people. But then on the technology side of it, technology is like the language of ABAP or machine learning and AI. So now those things are also changing rapidly. So we have about 23,000 people or practitioners, SAP practitioners over here in India. So we continuously also have programs and continuously also have that target of how do we rotate these 23,000 people to the new SAP. Like it is not just about ABAP as one language, but the technical person then has to have composite skills. It is also about allow me to be, get into a little bit of technicalities. So it's not just ABAP as language, but then object-oriented ABAP, UI5, right? Machine learning, a little bit about new languages on the ML side, what's happening in Google. Or what is interesting is not that everything right from scratch you need to build here, but you need to be very aware about the ecosystem, technology ecosystem that is available and how to leverage that. For example, there is a good set of API network available within SAP, also from Google. You are free to use Google TensorFlow, for example, but you just need to find out. You need to know how to find out, the different APIs and services from Twitter for that matter, or Facebook for that matter. So that is required on the technical side of the house. Right?
Very interesting.
No, I agree. Yes, I agree. See, 5 years back, if you would have asked this question, we required two skills, functional and technical.
Yeah.
That's about it. Technical was limited to ABAP.
Right.
Perhaps middleware as well, but to larger extent it was functional and technical. But now if you see the lines between the roles are blurred. A lot of changes happening externally within SAP, outside SAP, so Amazons of the world or Microsofts of the world bringing in innovation. So now we rely on a larger ecosystem. A decade back, I never thought we will have Microsoft people in SAP's project.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
But now, in order to survive, you have to.
Yes.
So that's the change which is happening. So the lines are blurred. So you really can't go with the traditional approach that I require a functional and a technical stream.
Wow.
So that's the significant change which has brought in terms of people's skill.
And going forward also, that what you're saying, that means is anyone today with, of course, the knack for technology and with backgrounds across various businesses or various technology roles could actually evolve into part of this SAP practice team at Accenture.
Yes, in fact, if the lab which we have, the SAP Innovation Hub, if I may call that, we don't have many SAP consultants.
Previous SAP consultants.
No. Now, in fact, we don't have a lot of SAP knowledge within that team. It's all about innovation.
Wow.
Right.
You ask them to come up with new ideas, models, and they're going to deliver it with integrated with SAP, back in SAP.
Yeah.
And that's what the world is moving towards. How do we make an organization more intelligent, more connected? Yeah. That's what it is all about. And that's what, the changes happen. And that has opened so many streams within SAP practice.
Is it because, of course, the platform itself has evolved? You've mentioned how it's become an interweaving of so many technologies, so many other services, external services. Going forward, is this more about, the machine, the ERP, the software will do what it has to do, but it's all in the skills of who is actually implementing it, or how big their vision is?
Exactly. See, technology is just, I would say, a tool to enable things in an organization.
Yes.
But the thinking needs to be done. The use cases which you need to turn around, the business challenges which you need to mitigate, that needs a solution.
Right.
Technology is just an enabler.
I agree. And Shiladitya, you really touch on very nice point, very important point as well. This is also because SAP itself has been changing.
Right.
It has become a lot of open, right? Yeah. It's open. So there were days like Philips, once upon a time, 2 decades ago, they had a program, SAP Unless. So they would use SAP and SAP alone for all sort of, for supply chain, for CX experience and whatever, or finance. But now SAP is very open in terms of, okay, they can work with multiple other solutions, spot solutions for spot problems. They are open to integrate with Google Sheets, or for that matter, Twitter tweets. Mm-hmm. They are perfectly fine. And because of this open innovation culture and open ecosystem of technology as well, the talent also then has to tune in for that. And that is how they can bring in innovation for our clients as well. And I think a couple of weeks back, we hosted a client who are into sports shoes. Mm-hmm. Okay, a very large global company into sport. And then we actually were showing them, and they were there for finding out data lake solution, strategy for their data lake solution on Azure. That was the topic. Mm-hmm. But by the way, we also showed them very interesting innovation which we had integrated from our Indian, that was an Indian startup, and that is our open innovation culture and how it integrates. It was about fitting a shoe for your particular, foot. Right. How do you, and then it's a simulated thing about fitting a shoe. And
I need to take that because for some reason I never get the right shoe size.
Oh, is it? So you should try that. I won't take the names of the ecosystem partner also, but it is a lot more. What I'm saying is SAP has become a lot more open, and that's why our talent also is a lot more. There are a lot of choices in terms of nurturing the talent and skill.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. So that means even you might also be a startup founder today who can actually build into the SAP ecosystem and also become a part of your team or part of projects.
Yes, absolutely.
That you all work
we do
on.
that in fact.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. That's really great. I mean, thank you so much for sharing so much about what lies in store for those who are looking at, of course, careers in this space, and of course the new SAP that is already here and that will only keep evolving. It really opens up an idea about what this ecosystem is all about and the kind of work that's going on here.
And I think SAP is the right platform. Did you know that 77% of global transactions runs on SAP?
Wow, that's a massive
Exactly. And $2.7 trillion of trade happens in Ariba, which is some of eBay, Amazon,
I think
and Alibaba put together.
Yes.
So that's the power of SAP. So it's exciting time, exciting world out there.
Wow, that's a lot to think about, and I'm sure.
If you want to end it with a sweet note, 75% of the chocolates, are manufactured or going through the SAP system.
That's a very interesting stat. Okay, that I mean, we could probably just say the similar stats about shoes or retail or anything.
Yeah,
70% of oil companies, the petrol, 70% runs on SAP.
There you go. So that's massive, and and even today and going forward, that number is going to be all the more growing. So I'm sure whoever's listening, I'm pretty sure you already have interacted with SAP in some way or form, probably invisible in your life when you've bought a chocolate or go
to the retail shop, go to any
or filled fuel in your car.
Exactly.
So pretty much, I think that's how large and how expansive the ecosystem is. Thank you so much for sharing this with us and with our listeners, and I'm sure this will inspire a lot of folks to think about tech careers in this new SAP. And of course, we'll be telling them about where to get in touch and reach out to both of you and the team at large for taking this forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shiladitya.
Shiladitya.
Thank you so much, Varsha, Kamal. This was a very informative conversation. As a leading business partner, I think Accenture works with SAP end-to-end from product innovation, development and delivery, and is truly revolutionizing the future of business. We covered a lot today, starting with the story of SAP, the kinds of projects, the future of the alliance, and Accenture's role in all of this. And of course, the kind of talent required to make a career in this space. I hope everyone had a great time listening in, and a lot of people are inspired to take up a job in this space for their professional career. To everyone else listening in, if you're excited about what we discussed here today and if you're interested in exploring careers with Accenture, check out the open positions at careers.accenture.com. On the next episode, we talk about 5G. Until then, I'm your host Shiladitya on Tech Careers in the New, the podcast series presented by Accenture.
Remember the last vacation you took? What about the one you took 3 years ago? Okay, how much do you really remember? It's a question I've asked myself often over a decade of traveling the world. Hey, I'm Utsav and I do not travel the world for a living. I have a full-time job and responsibilities, but I have made traveling the world a priority. Priority enough that I negotiate extra leave in my job contracts, obsessively track my frequent flyer miles, and I'm willing to take off at the sight of a cheap ticket. Yes, I am cheap. I've lived and worked in 3 countries. I understand human behavior for a living. And these experiences have given me unique insights into places, people, and culture. With over a decade of travel behind me, I increasingly realized one thing, that we cannot see everything. So whatever we see, we must see deeply. Because as the film of memory decays, the imprints which will stand the test of time are the ones felt by the immersion of the senses, not by fleeting encounters with them. Postcards from Nowhere is an immersion into the world of slow travel, one story at a time. Tune in every Thursday on the IVM Podcasts app, website, or wherever you get your podcast from.
Hi, my name is Anupam Gupta. I'm B50 on Twitter. I am the host of Paisa Vaisa, the show that talks money. On my show, I speak to experts from every field of money and finance, from stock markets, equities, debt funds, credit cards, life insurance, every possible area of money and finance that you can think of. We even did an episode on cryptocurrency. I've got fantastic guests from mutual funds to personal finance experts everywhere. Robo-advisory, startups, just name it, we've got it. At Paisa Vaisa, we help you make smart decisions about money. You work hard for money. Now make your money work hard for you. New episodes out every Monday, and you can listen to my show on the IVM Podcast app or any other podcasting app that you have.